First of all, I'd like you to give a warm hand to Sandiaga Uno. Sandiaga Uno, thank you for joining the Indonesia Economic Forum. This is the 9th Indonesia Economic Forum, and Sandi has been to each and every one of it. And I still remember at the 4th Indonesia Economic Forum, Sandi walked into the room and he told me, "You are at the 4th Indonesia Economic Room. This is already great progress." So today, 9th. Thank you. So I would actually like to say a few words about what we are doing here before we get started with Sandi's session. First of all, you may be wondering why we have about 40 people in the room, because every time you come to our events, we've had 1,000 people in the room, and when you come, it becomes 1,500. The reason is because we learned a lot from the pandemic. When the pandemic hit in 2020 and 2021, we had completely digital session of IEF. You were there. You gave us an address from your office on Zoom. This year, with things starting to open up, we went gone into a hybrid session where this room is a studio, but a studio with interaction from invited speakers. So it's a speakers gathering where everybody here is qualified to contribute to the content that's here. Our audience is virtual. However, what happened last year because of the pandemic, instead of 1,000 people, we reached 7,600 people because of digital. And when we did the analytics, we found they were from 45 different countries. This year, our goal is to cross 10,000 in 45 different countries, but we cannot do that live because the time zone difference. At this moment, everybody in the US is asleep. Maybe UK has just started to wake up. So how do we reach everybody is by recording this and placing all these sessions and highlights and snippets in video clips on our Indonesia Economic Forum digital channel. We have one on YouTube, we have one on Instagram, we have one on all the things, and I think this year we are starting even TikTok. So with this outreach, we will get the message of IEF to all over the world. And because we are in the English language setting, we are able to communicate to the whole world what is the Indonesia's emerging narrative and the story. So that's what Indonesia Economic Forum wants to do, Pa. We want to be following the Gotong Royong concept of being the voice of every stakeholder who's having a discussion about Indonesia. This year, we have more than 45 partners, starting from companies like AWS and Microsoft and SpendFlow and Orbit and so many others. But we also have chambers of commerce, AmCham, BritCham, EuroCham, SingCham, they've all joined. We've stumbled upon a model where we can be a Gotong Royong of all the organizations and therefore amplify the key issues to the rest of the world. So thank you, Sandi. I think, we cannot do that if you don't have good storytellers and narrators. You are one of the great narrators of the Indonesia story, and we have a few like you who are all active in Indonesia Economic Forum. It is the quality of the speakers that makes us heard. It's the quality of the contributors here in the room that people want to listen to. So we can only be as good as the quality of our speakers. And with that introduction, I would like to warmly welcome Sandi, who I believe is one of the most progressive leaders in this country. He is, I would say, a champion of digital transformation in many, many ways, not just his portfolio as a Minister of Creative Economy and Tourism, which are one of the sectors heavily developed because of digital talent and digital sector initiatives, but the downstream and upstream of these industries is affecting each and every part of Indonesia through digital transformation. And Sandi has played a very important role. I think this is a good time for us to know more about it and see his view of where he sees we should be going. And the format of this would be a fireside chat. I believe Sandi has a presentation and introduction remarks on that presentation. Then we would have an opportunity for a few speakers within the community here to engage, ask him some questions. We would like to use Sandi's time, so I would request you to restrict that question just to a minute or two so that we can listen to more of Sandi. I believe he has to leave at 2 o'clock. So we try to maximize Sandi's time here, and we can then continue the discussion beyond that. Okay? Thank you very much. Over to you, Sandi.
Thank you, Sachin, and good afternoon to you all. this is a remarkable settings. I used to come to this room with President Habibie sitting over there, and I'm sitting here, and I feel goosebumps because this is like the center of knowledge of particularly modern Indonesia. And you guys are very, extremely fortunate to be here, and I am really grateful that Sachin and the team of the Indonesian Economic Forum chose this venue, and I hope this will bring the aura of how Pak Habibie, as the leaders of technology, not just on the aerospace and aeronautics, but the key leaders that focus on, we call it, he kept on saying IPTEC, but also IMTAC. Ilmu Pengetahuan and Technology, which is science and technology, but also Iman dan Taqwa, means that your spirituality to the God Almighty. So, again, this is, I feel like deja vu all over again, and I'd like to keep my remarks very short, and I want to hear more of you. There's some great stories that we should hear from Pak Ghozie and from Pak Arfan from Jejak.in, but I'd like to especially mention His Excellency, Ambassador of India. Thank you very much. And yes, we will have a direct flight from India to Indonesia. It's remarkable that we don't have direct flights, and yet India is number 4 in terms of the foreign tourist arrival. And mainly because India loves big weddings. And Bali, big fat weddings. And I was thinking, I said that, how come there are so many weddings being done in Bali by our dear Indian tourists and Indian big entrepreneurs? And apparently, this is what they said, that having a wedding in Bali, even though it's big, it's huge, and it's sometimes involve charter flights, it actually costs cheaper. Is that true? Therefore, it's also good being Indians. Not only that you're getting a nice destinations, wedding destinations in Bali, but you actually save some money also. No wonder India is so advanced in terms of the economy. I had a great time interacting with Prime Minister, so thank you very much, Ambassador, and many other colleagues here. So COVID-19 have really devastated the tourism and creative economy industry, a home of about 40 million Indonesians having their livelihood depending on these two sectors. But this country, again, if you're Javanese, you always say something bad happened to you, but you always respond, untung. Pak Bayu knows about this. Untung. We always say, even though it's the toughest time that you get, us here, Javanese, will say, but fortunately, we're, and lead to something very optimistic. So the pandemic actually leads to the accelerations of digitalizations. And digital economy as of last year contributes $77 billion to the Indonesian economy. And actually it's the fastest growing, not only the biggest in Southeast Asia, and it is predicted to double in 2025. So overall, Digital Indonesia, look at this metrics. It's humongous. The size is growing very, very fast. And with also, I would say, 3 key issues among digital economy, and Ibu Yuana, Director for Digital Economy Governance, is sitting here supplying the data for me. Please stand to be recognized, Ibu Yuana. This is part of my, in paragraph, we have the power of emak-emak. It's the power of women in paragraph. And this is one of a very few, if not the only ministry that women dominates the leadership positions. Only the minister, women. Vice minister is a man. Vice minister is a woman. 4 out of 7 deputies are women. Permanent secretary is women. And it's simple. Because in tourism, and everybody knows, especially when you are married, who decides to go where you go on holiday? It's the women. Darling, I want to go here. Darling, I want to go there. So you ended up only paying for those trips. And in the creative economy, when you buy culinary, when you buy fashions, when you go on movies, listening to music, who decides? Mostly it's the women. So it's true that women needs to be in a leadership position. So I told many of my team here at the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, there's no glass ceiling. Basically, it's no ceiling whatsoever. It's basically, you need to reach as high as possible, and we are very thankful that women takes leadership positions in our ministry. Anyway. Thank you. So, 3 pillars on the digitalizations, and I kept on mentioning this because I have not seen investments into these areas as much as I really wanted to see. And because Ghozie here from AWS, first, payment, digital payment. We barely scratched the surface. Second, cybersecurity. We're going all digital, but there is nobody investing in cybersecurity from local companies, from local talents. There's some, but we are definitely needs to do much more on cybersecurity. And finally, fintech. Fintech, yes, it's with this online lenders that is so rampant, but we only see the bad part. Still, 70% of small, medium enterprise, in particular micro entrepreneurs, have not been able to get access to funding. So we want to see investment platform growing at least more than 75% CAGR, what we have already achieved now, in order for us to make sure we'll get there. So this is part of the numbers that I want to share. Payments, investments, still very minuscule if you compare to other investments in the metrics of Southeast Asia. So I'd like to invite you all to continue to attract investments in the digital economy sectors. Future of work and digital readiness. We need around 600,000 talents a year so that we could have the 9 million digital talents available by the end of our strive towards developed economy. We need to avoid the middle income trap. So the World Economic Forum says 85 million jobs will be displaced, but there will be probably 90 or 100 million new and better quality jobs that would be available because of digital economy. In fact, the number is 97 million new roles. So who would thought YouTuber become your professions? Who would have thought food reviewer? Now you need network collaborations, automations, engineers, flexible specialists that will focus on how gig economy can provide the future of works, and our ability to adapt to new technologies. So I'm very, very optimistic. I think the FUCA era, which is the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, meets the innovations, adaptations, and collaborations nature of Indonesians in particular, will get you the new type of works. And these are the list of works that's going to be available, including stress tolerance. There's a lot of people who are depressed, especially after the pandemic. System analysis and evaluations, yeah, okay. Persuasions and negotiations, yeah, you need to negotiate, and some of this works is really a new category. So we need the digital talent. Next, digital transformation strategy. Obviously, this is Indonesia, so not only one ministry focus on digital, but all ministries. So when people are saying, oh, we see overlapping between you guys, Pak Menteri Koperasi and UKM, overlapping with Kominfo. I said, no, this is digital economy. Everybody must get involved. So we at the cabinet probably on a daily basis we coordinate. There's no more bureaucracy. Our leaders, Pak Presiden is the ones who lead us in terms of how we could break into these reforms so that we could be agile, we could be flexible, and policy making has to be data-driven and collaborate with collaboration. So we are the fastest country to adopt digital technology, even faster than Brazil and China. And this is found by McKinsey research of 17,000 people in 15 countries in Asia and the world. So how do we use the speed of transformations? For instance, my mother, 81 years old, come to me and said that, how do I, and this is like 2 years ago during the pandemic, how do I have a new filter in my Zoom so that I could appear younger? Apparently there is a new filter in the Zoom which makes you look younger. The only problem is I forgot to take off that filter when I went into a live TV with Metro TV. So I go into that and I was shocked because my lips are much redder and my face is so glowing. So this is how even an 81 years old on Instagram, and she's now on TikTok, she is adopting as fast as the new millennial. So adoption is good. ICT is moving very fast with infrastructures in digital space. I mentioned about 600,000 digital talents yearly, but also 5,000 startups, which makes Indonesia the 5th country with the most of the startups. And we have obviously there's layoffs happening in the tech industries, but still, if you look at Gojek, Tokopedia, Traveloka, these are amazing game-changing stories that this country could bring. So ladies and gentlemen, the government will continue to make efforts in collaborating with private sectors, and we would like to, for instance, showcase our collaborations with Jejak.in, with Pak Arfan. So during the G20, my job is to greet all the world leaders to come in, but all those, not just the world leaders, but the delegations are being offered to offset their carbon footprint. Because when you fly from New York on business class, we have done the calculations, you need to plant, I think, 60 to 70 mangrove trees to offset your carbon. Or simply pay me or Pa Arfan $250 and we will do it for you. So we're providing that platform, and that's embedded in the Ministry Indonesia.travel website. We're also providing experience, such as if you want to do sustainable tourism, what type of activities that you should be doing. If you want to empower local communities, what type of local creative economy products. For instance, this eco-print, we call this outer, which is actually very comfortable, is actually empowering close to 50 women in the Magelang areas near the super priority destinations of Borobudur. So these are the type of collaborations that we want to do. We're very open to how this Indonesian Economic Forum in the ninth editions, in the ninth editions could deliver, and I could not think of a better place than Habibie Ainun Library to host the Economic Forum. So with that, I would end my remarks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for part of the transformations. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi 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 Om.
Thank you, Pasandi. In fact, Pasandi, Ilham Habibi told us that we should make this the home of IEF so that every month we can have 2 to 3 events, which would be a way for us to amplify great ideas that should be implemented. So the charter that we have taken on is that we must have actionable insight. There's no point coming here and talking if we cannot translate that into some action. So our team is actually now working towards creating like white papers and creating documents that would go into recommendations and policies, etc. So we hope that in 2023, we'll play a bigger role in that process of amplifying great ideas like yours that you have. So thank you, Pasandi. Actually, we have a little bit of time for a few questions. I would say please keep it short so that Pasandi can answer them. I would start with Ghozie from AWS, since Sandy made a comment about we need more investment into Indonesia, and this is one of the people who are doing so. So, Ghozie, silakan.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak Sandi yang saya hormati, sangat menarik sekali tadi paparannya. Saya sangat apresiasi dan energinya, especially kita doing it in the Indonesia Economic Forum in Habibie Ainun Library. So my question would be, what does the government play a role in providing the right framework, Pak Sandi, for a healthy ecosystem? Because as you mentioned, it needs collaborations, yeah. And us as an industry, we have already made an investment, and we need to drive digital economy. So how's Kemenparekraf, let's say, ideas, yeah, in collaborating with within this quad helix or pentahelix with the media, to make sure that the digital economy is there and can serve specifically on the small and medium enterprise, Pak Sandi.
Thank you, Pak Ghozie. Pak Ghozie is, believe it or not, took over from me as what we call PL Brothers Runners. So he used to, are you still running?
Yeah, something that I already stopped doing. It's one of them is running.
He used to be regular runners with me, so I remember. And anyway, we can talk about it later. So AWS is a great story. And before I answer that, AWS, when you read the book of Jeff Bezos, was actually a serendipity. It wasn't thought as the original model, but because of collaborations whereby Amazon founders and the team of management look at what the customers need, and actually the customer needs is assistance in going digital, in bringing their data to the cloud, and AWS was formed. Little that they know that AWS now responsible, I was told during the G20 sessions, because AWS met with our coordinating minister, that it is responsible for, if not half, more than profitability of the group, which is amazing. It's something that you don't really originally plan, but you stumble upon it, just like you stumbling upon this great hybrid system, found this great solution. So our job at the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy is towards the end. It's the downstream of the digital economy, because we are responsible in handling 17 subsectors of creative economy, which include culinary, fashion, craft, digital economy, applications, animations, music, film, television, radio, games. So the ecosystem is something that we are very responsible. And we do it through collaborations such as training, such as mentoring, incubations. And we have here one of ideas that we discussed with Sajin, and Pa Ilham is helping, which is Inotek, which is a great foundations to focus on innovations and technology. So we discussed with AWS, and I think we have some early collaborations, but I want to ask Pa Ghozie to have moonshots, to think big ideas. How do we, something that we have not thought about before? What type of collaborations? For instance, in tourism destinations, we are making huge changes to how energy is being basically being used. Right now, big hotels like in Nusa Dua, they use genset, which is using this very, very toxic fossil fuel. How do we transform this into new and renewable energies? How do we make sure that they handle the waste management better, the use of water wiser? Food loss and food waste. I just found out that every year the tourism and creative economy as a whole contribute to 8% emissions, which is almost 20 to 30% comes from wasting food. Food loss and food waste mainly in buffet and food that is left on your plate. So how do we do that better? And that's through technology. So we have collaborations with Surplus, also one of AWS client. At the end, AWS is a big winner here, to monitor how food is being utilized. So it's not going to go into the waste bin, because when the food goes into the waste bin, the impact to carbon emission is so big. So all linked to technology. For instance, your data center. Obviously, data center needs a lot of energy, but we are blessed with solar, electricity that we could create from solar panel. But he's going to have issues with the data or the electricity providers, how we could make sure that all the data centers that is operating not only by Ghozie and AWS, but by the entire data center industries, is actually fueled by new and renewable energies. So that is an opening for us to collaborate, and we're ready. And let's think moonshot, something that will help us create 4.4 million new jobs by 2024, and this is better quality jobs, and also contribute to reduce our carbon emissions by 4%, so 50% until 2035, and completely net zero by 2045.
So, Sandy, I hope the leftover food solution is not to serve it the next day's buffet.
You'd be surprised. It's not on that particular buffet, but some of the early initiative is to use it before it goes bad, to help the needy, to the poor communities.
Yes.
So, and it's actually a very wonderful program.
That was in a lighter vein anyway. So I'd like to actually...
but there's a risk also. We need to make sure. That's why we need technology.
We need governance.
We need governance and technology.
That's right, Pa. Yes.
One comment just,
yeah, quickly.
Sandy, just to take on your challenge, Pa. AWS announced collaboration with PLN in G20 that we are going to build 210 megawatts new renewable energy solar panel to support all of our data center operations.
Fantastic. Big applause.
This is something that...
Yes. Direct outcome.
Direct outcome. Concrete deliverables.
Yes. I'd like to invite Your Excellency Manoj Bharti, Ambassador of India, to contribute. He's been a very outspoken champion of digital.
Good afternoon, everyone. Excellency.
Excellency.
Pauno, thank you very much for your opening remarks. To learn about Indonesian progress from you is always enchanting. And also, congratulations on a very, very successful G20 presidency. Yes. I will like to touch upon 2 or 3 points with reference to the future of digital technology and digital readiness that the subject mentions of. And while doing so, I'll give the example of India and give some of the statistics which perhaps few people will know, but for others it may be a little new. The first thing that attracts about India's digitalization is its inclusiveness. Any program that India has done, India Digital India, or the use of technology for the COVID pandemic, the whole system of digitalization became so inclusive that people started getting direct benefit from it. One real life example is vaccination. Till now, India has done more than 2 billion COVID vaccinations, which is nearly 2.5 times more than the combined number of COVID vaccines administered in US and the EU. It's possible, basically, this inclusiveness and the model that we have designed for payments, for digital payments and things like that, what we call as India Stack. Different units of data are created in different stacks, and anyone who wants to access those data takes it and gets out without disturbing the security of that system. This also greatly enhances the security of the entire data system that we have. Using these different stacks, we have got systems like Aadhaar, the ID, unique ID card, system, the UPI, the Unified Payment Gateway for the banking and other things, DigiLocker, COVID vaccine platform, government e-marketplace, Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission for the health sector. And the other thing that I would like to mention, that India has also developed its own 5G network, which provides an alternative to all the systems available anywhere, and provides a security platform for the user wherever it wants to use it. So this model is scalable as per the requirement of a particular country. That 5G model has helped, it has already been launched in India, and it is ready for export, so to say, by next July. That's a very, very important step that we have taken. And we talked of startups in India. There are 77,000 recognized startups in India. In 2012, there were no unicorns in India, but this number has reached 105 in 2022. 1 out of every 10 unicorns in the world is in India. To give you just one more statistics, India ranks first in digital payment transactions globally. In 2021, over 40% of global digital payments took place through UPI in India, which is over 2.6 times higher than in China, and which stood at the second place, and 6.5 times greater than the US, Canada, UK, France, and Germany combined. So these are the 2 basic points about security and the India Stack that I wanted to highlight in terms of inclusiveness, bringing the benefits to people without sacrificing on security.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Manoj, what I understand here in this conversation is that the technology is available to be shared with other nations. Am I right? So that's the direction, that this technology is available and there are ways to access this technology. I think I remember I met with Ilham Habibi and Nandan Nilekani in Bangalore, and we talked about how such technology is now ready to be shared with partner nations. And that could be an opportunity that can be looked. Do you have any comments on something like that, Sandy?
It's amazing, and if we could benefit from India's journey. Because if you look at this 100 plus unicorns, there must be millions of jobs that are created. And we have 11 unicorns now, and I think 2 decacorns, depending on the stock price now. But we have still a long way to go. We have about 5,000 startups. And I think learning from excellencies. By the way, I have to thank Excellency Ambassador of India. He is the only one accepting my invitations to meet in Bali during the difficult time. You see Bali today, whoa, you wouldn't recognize. Bali is today very, it's booming and a lot of visitors coming in. But during the difficult time, Pak Dubes Manoj came driving from Jakarta to see me in Bali. And a friend in need is a friend indeed. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pa. Arlan, would you like to, Arlan from Jejakin, would you like to comment, say something? Because I think Pa Sandy mentioned the role that you played at G20.
Yeah, so I actually have prepared a question for Pak Sandi. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Minister, Pak Sandi Uno, Pak Sachin Gopalan. So I'm Arfan from Jejakin, an impact-driven company focusing on carbon management platform. So I would like to take this opportunity, Pak Sandi, a little bit on agriculture and forestry and its sustainability moving forward in Indonesia. Obviously, agriculture is also become a tourist sector, and we see the challenges in agricultural sector, and nowadays in Indonesia is about the number of farmers. It's decreasing year by year, followed by the younger generation. They don't want to be a farmer anymore. They want to go to the city. They want to have working with other sectors in the city, not in the village as a farmer. So looking at these challenges, it's also affect our future of our food security, sustainability, and also the economic of these farmers. Pak Menteri, Sandi, how do you see this future work and digital readiness will help in the agriculture sector, and also including the impact of the tourism in Indonesia as well?
Excellent question. Pak Sandy.
We talk about energy a lot, and I think Pak Ghozie mentioned that as well. But the situations that we're facing is actually not only energy crisis, but also food crisis. And the pandemic pushed us to the limit whereby hundreds of millions of populations worldwide is at the risk of hunger, because there's just not enough availability of food. On the tourism side, sustainable tourism includes sustainable destinations, and the sustainable destinations concept is a 360, whereby local produce is, and in particular the tourism village program is actually having agricultural as the backbone of the destinations, as the main attractions. You would not believe this maybe 20, 30 years ago. People just want to go in, we call it rohali, rombongan yang hanya lihat-lihat, or just look-see, take pictures and go. But now, the group, what we call ropenyo. What is ropenyo? Rombongan yang pengen nyoba-nyoba. So they actually want to try being like a farmer. How does it feel like? Because some politicians stumble of pretending to be, myself included, when I do, because politicians, you need photo ops. So sometimes I have to, my team said, you need to go to the rice field. And then Pak Sandi pretend that you put in the rice field, and sometimes I did not realize that there is certain way to do it. And actually there are some course of digital agricultural farming in terms of tourism attraction. So we tried that in Majalengka, in West Java, and also in Bali as well. So I do believe this way will help the wealth not shifted all the way to urban areas, because as McKinsey and other smart guys said, that the urban will be the 80% of the world's economies, and the rural will be 20%, and therefore more and more people will go to the urban areas. So how do we keep them in the rural areas? Agricultural. And now with organic farming, with food or farm-to-table program, with gastronomy on the local culinaries, is actually helping this agricultural-based tourism. And also, of course, they still open up for politicians who wanna be educated about how to do the proper farming, me included.
You make a good point, actually. We always think about the farmer must learn digital, but it could be the digital people should learn farming. So
Exactly.
absolutely, you're right.
Exactly, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around, that's right. So we have, I think, time for one more question, because I know, Pasandi, you are on a time clock for 2 o'clock. Yes. Am I right? Or is there a little flexibility there, just to go for 1 or 2 questions?
One question?
One question, okay.
Oh, by the way, I got so many name cards, and I think my assistant Hanif will have my name cards ready if you interested. I no longer carry name cards anyway, because young generations, they don't give me name cards. But folks like us and some colonials still carry name cards.
Millennials versus colonials. So Rajat, would you like to ask one question? And for all the others who could have asked questions, please send them to me by email. I would pass them on to Pasandi, and maybe we can, when he has some free time, he could respond to the questions. You can get my email later from my name card. Okay, over to you, Rajat. Quickly.
Hanif is the one sitting over there, the handsome guy.
Yeah.
Near the
I see.
the beam.
Yes. Go ahead, Rajat.
Thank you, Sachin. Good afternoon, Pasandi. Again, my question is regarding innovation. While Indonesia is an extremely creative economy, in fact, I think Indonesia is probably one of the few countries which has a creative economy as a ministry, as part of the ministerial setup. I just wanted to ask you if there is some conscious effort in terms of the innovation, how to encourage innovation, R&D, etc., as well as intellectual property rights, so which are really long-term, I believe, which really have helped developed economies capitalize a lot more than on immediate adaptation, etc., of digital transformation.
Elon Musk attended a few of the sessions at G20 and some sessions also with the government before. And there's a good questions by one of the participants. And the question is, if you could name one trait that would be responsible to make you the way or where you are right now, what would be it? And his answer was actually something that we're trying to do in the creative economy, which is, his answer is curiosity. Curiosity, why is that, and how do we do things? What we're doing. So I would see that the focus for the ministry would be how we could create an ecosystem of agility, creativity, and curiosity. Because these would be the 3 pillars for innovations. And innovations would be, actually already classified, that innovations is the one single most important orientations of entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship have three orientations. First is innovation, second is dare to take risks, and third is being proactive. And innovations would be driven by agility, creativity, and curiosity. So something that we need to work very hard from early education's part, and this is Pak Nadim, and he's the best person to address this issue. But this is something that us are looking in terms of creating a very robust ecosystem for creative economy that would lead to innovations. Even our mantra, when I tell Bu Yuana and other top young leaders of the ministry, is when you walk into the building, you think of innovations, adaptations, collaborations, innovations, adaptations, collaborations, innovations, adaptations, collaboration. And you go like yoga, innovations, adaptations, and collaboration. So it's going to be embedded for you. When you do something, where's the innovations part? Where's the adaptations part to the current situations, obviously post-pandemic? And where's the collaborations? Government used to think they could do it themselves. Yes. It's no longer. We're only a small part of this entire digital transformations ecosystem. Our job is to create the right sets of framework in terms of policy to empower pentahelix players so that we could strive in this digital transformations.
That's fantastic, and I think Sandy has really nailed it. He summarized it very well. It's that mindset that we develop for ourselves that will allow us to practice and make actionable all these great ideas. But Sandy, before you leave, I'd just like to let you know that Inotech, which is our partner for the session here,
I see
Ibu Ife is here.
Hi, Ivy.
Yeah. So they are actually going to be part of an initiative, which is an outcome from an earlier discussion today, to play a role in facilitating digital readiness and issues related to that. And they will be working on a task force put together as Indonesia takes its presidency or the chairmanship of ASEAN. We'll be addressing some of those things, and they're partnering with Wantiknas, with Pa Ilham. So that's a new initiative that was kicked off as an actionable outcome of Indonesia Economic Forum today. I just wanted to let you know that. Okay. Thank you very much. A warm round of applause for Pa Sandy. Thank you so much, Pa Sandy, for being here. And I would actually like all of you to continue a discussion. We have another 30 minutes. I would ask my friend, Dr. Bayu, to continue this discussion. Leaving off where Pa Sandy did, I will just escort him out and I'll be back in the room. No, I'll come. It's okay. No, it's already planned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, if people want to accompany him, welcome. Otherwise, I'm replacing Sachin for a while for welcoming you for the next session of discussion. Yeah, you're raising hand. Yeah. Want to say something, please?
So the question
So
is...
I'll sit here because I'm hoping that I'm replacing Sandy tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Poonam Sagar, and I have a question for Ghozie from AWS.
All right.
And maybe this is also open to everybody else who might have an answer. This is regarding the energy and the green energy for powering up the data centers. So my question is Indonesia ready for green energy? Because when we say green energy, it should be our infrastructure should be such that everybody should have the power to use solar energy, generate it, and if not required, pass it to the grid. So are we ready with that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very tough question. I don't know whether I should answer the questions here. But I think coming back to probably the announcement between PLN, which is the energy company, and AWS, the announcement, the agreement comes from the commitment from the Amazon Group, to have renewable energy targets to power all of our operations by 2025. That is our company target. and we need to achieve the net zero as a company-wide by 2040. Yeah. And then I think this is a good collaboration because, as you know, PLN as an energy company, they are trying to increase the portfolio of the renewable energy. Yeah. However, in doing so, it's not very easy to also shut down the coal, let's say, power plants because they already have power contracts, yeah, power purchase agreements. There are some, I know that there are some innovation on, let's say, from the financing side to give, from the government side to give a better financing for these companies that handle coal, so, yeah, so they can shorten the break-even point, yeah, so they can retire if they're willing to on the contract and move to the renewable energy. A lot of discussion has been made by PLN and also Indonesia on how to increase the supply, right? But it's also becoming a challenge for PLN because whenever I have a much supply of renewable energy, if I don't have a demand, right, let alone if I have a demand but the demand is subsidized, it will also hit Indonesia in a different perspective, right? So with the cooperation, let's say, Pak Sandi mentioned the pentahelix collaboration, the similar awareness, not only for the energy provider, but also the customers, which is data center provider like Amazon, right? When we said that we would like to have a renewable energy only power source, then it helps PLN because we pay not subsidized price, right? We pay commercial price, right? We help PLN to help them to build the renewable energy and then increase the portion of renewable energy, but then buy it in the industry price, right? So with this kind of collaboration, and let's say if Pak Sandi mentioned, how can you think on how to make the industry not only AWS to consume this, I think there's a role from each one of us to participate in this collaboration. Yeah. So I think this is not only one man job or one institution. What we need to have a collaboration. The challenges is a lot, but I think if we work together, then we can find a better way to achieve that. Yeah, because when the spirit of renewable energy is there, but it's not followed by a justifiable economic value, then it will be very difficult, I think.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, Bu Punam, I was there as well when they were signing. So Pak Darmo gave a very nice speech there, and then there was signing with Amazon, AWS, and then Darmo said that it's required from the AWS to have the contract. Is the requirements should be by renewable energy, yeah, and like it's mentioned that the timeline for that. And whether we can achieve it or not, I think they're saying, right, when there's a will, there's a way, right? I believe we can do that part by part, bit by bit, and I really believe if we really look the way for that, we can achieve it, right?
So, Pa, just to add to that, I recently saw an ad for solar energy in Indonesia, where I saw that they zoomed over a field and then they had this little cottage with a solar panel with a light bulb in the cottage. Mm-hmm. Now, Pa, we are still thinking individual. We are not thinking connected. So I just want to, just share that thought with everybody here.
All right. So Sachin's back, so I leave it back to him.
We should co-chair this.
Okay.
Yeah, we should co-chair this. So I had a few words with Pak Sandi before he was leaving, and he was really pleased to be here. He apologizes for not having been able to stay a little longer and field some more questions to him. But he was serious about he will answer them, so please feel free to email them to me, and then I'll pass it on. I think, we just take away a few things. There are some issues about digital readiness, in terms of future of work, etc. Right. And we had two other speakers here who we were not able to bring on. Is Siti Aziza Ibu here from Ministry of SME? Ibu? Yeah. Silakan Ibu, if you have any comment or question, Ibu.
Sure, thank you. So I think I just want to highlight two things here, particularly on digital readiness, because as Pak Sandi mentioned that we do have a target on the 2024 that we want to have about 30 million SMEs onboarding digital. So that's a big challenge for us, that one. The second one is currently Ministry of Cooperative and SMEs, we are doing data collection because so far we don't have any, the standardized integrated data. So that one, now we are doing it up to 2024. So I do believe that here a lot of stakeholders that we could collaborate on that one. In fact, we also mentioned to Pak Ilham Habibi about it, how we can work together, hexahelix, pentahelix, so we can come up with a very good idea how to achieve it. And last but not least, we also realized that the digital readiness, particularly in our field, SMEs, is not there yet. So that's why we are it's quite challenging for us to do acceleration. I think that from us. Thank you.
So Ibu Siti, you make a good point. In fact, I'd like you to discuss with IFI here, IFI from Inotek. I think IFI from Inotek and Wantiknas have agreed to put together a program which we can take into ASEAN. That's something that we can really work into this. Ibu Siti, if I may ask you, how do you rate the digital readiness of the common man or the common woman or the common person in Indonesia? Let's take the furthest away island in Indonesia, because we had a discussion about that this morning. In the morning, Pa Indra Uno was here, and Pa Indra Uno was telling us about some training programs he was trying to run, and he was trying to use Zoom, and he could not use Zoom because there was no connectivity, and the people had to share a mobile phone in a family at that level, where they would take gantian, 3 hours one person, 3 hours another person, because somebody would use it for class or things like that. And those are real challenges that are actually happening. The other challenges were about because you could not use Zoom, they used all the content on WhatsApp through text. And these are challenges. So, you are in a ministry where you are actually in touch with these areas and regions. How do you see that? Are you not jumping a few steps ahead with digital initiatives when some of the basic things could be addressed in probably another way or maybe something else? What is your view on that? How is your ministry addressing digital readiness for the common citizen of Indonesia in, let's say, a very disadvantaged location of the country?
Okay, that's a good point. So actually, ideally, we could have 64 millions, all the SMEs readiness in digitalization. But in fact, the target is only 30 million, is half than that. So because we realized that we couldn't, access everybody from east to 34 provinces. So that's why the strategy today is we are starting from the big cities, definitely, all the the big cities from the province, and secondary cities, that will be our second priority. And then what we see is on the 2024, we hope that everybody is covered already. But then we are also working together with Telkom on this part, particularly on the one in the east. Not to mention even NTT, they are not 100% covered by Telkom or internet. So that's we realize, Pak Sachin, that we still have a lag on that one. Yeah. That's why we work together with Telkom on that one. So we also work with the government, in the area, how we can help, how we could help them. Yeah. So in fact, some in Papua say they are very creative. They put in their, we call it kelurahan or whatever. So if you want to access internet, then you just go there. So that kind of things also, we are facing a lot of in the east area.
So Ibu, is there an opportunity to partner with private sector? Like we have from Pa Ishak is here from Sampurna, and Sampurna's footprint in the country it's in the agri sector. So they are in some of the remotest parts of the country, and they have a lot of initiatives, if I'm not mistaken, which is really helping the people in the regions to skill up, to learn new skills, etc. And do you think that's an opportunity that should be explored, where maybe your ministry should work with private sector or some of the private technology players who are in the room here? We have AWS, we have Microsoft, we have SpendFlow, we have so many companies here, they're tech companies. Is there a role for them? If we can hear from you, maybe they'll find a way to meaningfully engage with the ministry.
Yeah, definitely. We can do it. We are open for collaboration. In fact, we are working with other applications such like that, so to helping us to expedite the digitalization. So we are open for it, and if that's the case, then Sampurna, and we are open.
Okay. Pa Ishak, would you like to comment? Pa? Any ideas from you?
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ishak Danoning, representing PTHM Sampurna TBK. Partly, yes, we're dealing with agriculture, but we are also supporting the development of MSMEs in Indonesia.
Yeah.
As you probably know of, we have a community, what we call Sampurna Retail Community, or SRC, and we've been working together with Ibu Aziza department, as well as Pak Sandiaga Uno's department as well, in developing MSMEs in different parts of our areas in Indonesia. One of the things that we do, especially this is addressing the digital savviness at this point of time, we develop an app, what we call IO. It's a AYO. That can be accessible by all the members of SRC, whereby they can be helped or can be assisted in finding the right wholesalers nearby them. Our members are mostly traditional stores or mom and pop shops, and roughly right now we have about 200,000 members throughout Indonesia. Together with Ibu Aziza, recently we had a I would say like a webinar like this, like an event like this, in supporting the B20 as well. So our commitment, our pledge to the country is to always help MSMEs. Why we are doing that? Because simply, Sampurna has this philosophy called the three hands philosophy. So not only that we are taking care of the business partners and also employees, but we are also taking care of the consumers as well as the society at large. We will not be this big if we don't pay attention as well to the society at large. And thanks to the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs, as well as the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, we could actually explore further on what we can do to this country. Just a note on the SRC, set aside the digital, but then on the SRC, or the Sampurna Retail Community, majority of the stores have what we call the local corner. What it is in that store, there is going to be a shelf that would display the products of the MSME surrounding that stores without any pay. So they can promote their products in that corner. And I think that's helping a lot, I would say, MSMEs, particularly like in Sukabumi, even East Java, as well as Central Java. So, yeah, so we are still learning, but yeah.
No, it's great to know what you're doing, Pa, because, there is another sector in this room, actually. We have somebody who's an expert here. Another institution or a sector is present in every part of Indonesia, and that's the banking sector. Mm. And Dr. Bayu here advises the banking sector in technology and many other things. Pa Bayu, do you think, what should be the role that we can recommend to the banks who have branches across all different parts, remote parts? What is the role they can play to help in the digital transformation? Because in that bank, probably, they may not even have an ATM machine, right? You might be going there and dishing out cash transactions. There's a digitization opportunity there, because all these banks are already digitized.
Right.
But is there another role they can be brought in and partner with the Ministry of SME, with the Sampurna, with Inotek? Do you see any ideas that come out?
Yeah, some of you that came this morning maybe heard about my doomsday scenario for the workers, for the blue collar workers because of digital transformations. And actually what I said was that those blue workers who work in the factories, large scale manufacturings would have might lost their jobs because of the automations. But then where should they go? They should go to the gig economy that is mentioned previously by Sandy. And there is the directions that we have to go, the gig economy, the MSME, right? And then I did say it as well that the people cannot cope up with the new skills, reskilling, upskilling that is needed in the new economy, where you can see that they are savvy in using digital skills. But the level of digital skills that is needed for them to survive actually is not that high. If we consider how the Tokopedia has made so many laymen can make their merchants in the Tokopedia, how Gojek can train the Gojek driver, the drivers of what we call Gojek, can use applications so easily. They are not educated people, but easily. That is what we need. That we need people who can, initiate something that can be used by large amount of people with a new, just upskilling, a little bit of skilling of the digital skills that can make use of the digital economy. So what banks can do actually is one that they can identify those institutions or people or startups that can really give impacts for the people, that empower the people, that can create something that doesn't need the large people to learn too much to increase their digital capability to be able to connect to them, right? So they should be able to create applications that is so friendly that even old people like my mother's or Pak Sandi's mother can even use it without any problem. Those without education can use it without any problem. So if banks in Indonesia can focus on finding all those, what we call it, empowering centers, then we can help the people at large, giving them some, initial capitals, initial investments that they needed, and at the same time, we have so many banks all over Indonesia, with currently still having the branches. It's not easy to retract the branches. I think now we have about 80,000 branches all over Indonesia, and usually the branches are well connected. So they have the connection of internet. If we can use the branches like the Ibu said as the kelurahan for the center of Wi-Fi that can be used by the surrounding people, it could be a big help for the people to get access to the infrastructure, which usually banks have a much better infrastructure for their connectivity. That's my point.
Absolutely. That is, you hit the nail on the head. That's actually something that we should work. I think if you should take a note of this, maybe we should invite Pa Bayu to be part of the initiative, because bringing the banking sector, they have building, they have staff, they have connectivity because they need it for financial transactions. Right. And if they have extra room, a meeting room, it could be a training center. There's so many ways that we can look at this and bring that into the fold of how this can be. And then we work with content partners and training companies, etc., to see what kind of program should go where.
Exactly.
Okay. So we are going to come to the close of this because we are going to end in exactly 4 minutes. Anybody would like to say something, that may be a comment or a new idea, feel free. Is there anybody in the room who would like to contribute, say anything? Okay, so I'll summarize, So, there is a reason why we had Pa Sandy here today. Not just because it's the 9th time that he's with the Economic Forum, but because every time he's come, he's always shared some fantastic insight. And I'd like to share why is that so. Because Pa Sandy, apart from being on the campaign trail and then now being Minister of Tourism, is our most well-traveled minister. He's been to every remote part of Indonesia. Now, you can't say that for very many other ministers because the role doesn't allow them or require them. But as a Minister of Tourism, what do? You have to go everywhere. And that has given Pa Sandy a direct feel or a mood of the people, understand what's happening where or not happening where. And there is so much insight I get because I have conversations with him apart from the forum, right? And he has always been able to tell us the mood. And his brother Indra was there earlier today, for example, shared one such insight with us about some of the challenges. But Sandy meets people, he talks to people, he spends time when he goes to remote areas. He has a very good sense of how this digital transformation journey will make a tremendous impact. So that is the reason why we wanted him to come here and share this topic on digital readiness and future of work, because digital readiness is connected to the future of work. If you're not digitally ready, you don't have a future of work ahead of you, because work is changing dramatically. And we need to find ways to connect the two. And I think one insight that came with talking to Pa Sandy was, we are always thinking that we got to teach the farmer digital. But that was an insight I got. Right? It was a moment for me that we can be teaching digital people farming, etc. And then there will be a collaboration between the two sides, because no initiative can take place without more jobs being created, right? So you'll need, who becomes the expert? The expert is the farmer. But the digital initiatives, the digital people going into the areas and digitizing various opportunities. And I think that's a fantastic approach in trying to find solutions that could be custom made to Indonesia. I'll end this with one comment that I always say, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years. The truth is, the son of a farmer or the daughter of a farmer doesn't want to be a farmer. The son or daughter of a fisherman doesn't want to be a fisherman or a fisherwoman. That is the truth. Because everybody wants a better life than what they've seen their parents do. But the problem is, we are doing everything we can in such a way that they have no choice but to remain a farmer and remain a fisherman. So we are not understanding democratization of skills is an important part of uplifting the lives of the people. And if we say there's an urban-rural divide, I think it's nonsense. You know why? Because rural areas can urbanize themselves on its own, on the strengths of its own economy that they may have. We look at a belt and we say that's an agriculture belt. And they look at this place, oh, here they have textiles and they make footwear here. But that's actually a stereotyping. We should get away from that. Why? Because the children of the young people or of the people in that area may have an aspiration that we want to be a video game development center. Somebody else may say, no, we want to be into culinary. So why should the DNA, economic DNA of a region not be allowed to change? Why should it remain what it is where we've known them for? That's a rubber belt, that's a, palm oil is grown here. Doesn't have to be. It's the young people in that area who can change that definition and make that area into something that's connected to Industry 4.0. So that stereotyping allows us to reinforce the same thing that, oh, they're doing agriculture, let's make them better at agriculture, bring more agricultural technology. We're not listening that those people may not want to do that. They may say that, oh, I want to be a video game center and develop video games. So it's something to think about, right? I think we have to go away from the skilling narrative into giving skills that we identify are the missing gaps, and we go there and tell them, here, learn this. We should ask them, what do they want to learn? We should look at the aspirations of the young people and figure out if they want to change the nature or the narrative of their town or their village. Here is your chance. Industry 4.0 allows you to change the story that you're going to tell your grandchildren. Then you would be saying, once upon a time we used to be an agricultural center. Today we are a digital economy center. And that is possible. So it will only be possible if companies here in the room, the institutions in the room, think that it is important to allow them to make their own destiny. And this is a radical, I would say, change of thought that might sometimes derail the programs you already may have, because you may be thinking of programs which are reinforcing the stereotype. Could we think of it another way? Could we look at digital transformation, empowering people to change their destiny and change this power structure between urban and rural? The urban-rural divide is reinforced by old economy ideas. The new economy ideas doesn't need to reinforce the same thing. It doesn't need to. But we are reinforcing it, unintentionally, I would say. So hopefully with that thought, I'd like to end this session. Thank you very much. I think all of you have contributed greatly. All these sessions are recorded. In a few weeks, they will all be online, and we will be having this to an audience of over 10,000 people in 45 countries. Our teams have been trained to promote each topic according to the stakeholders of that topic. So anything that needs to go to academia will go to academia. What needs to go to businesses will go through the business associations to them. And we will definitely be sharing the outcomes of this discussion to a larger and wider audience. Thank you very much, and look forward to the next session of the Economic Forum with all of you there.